Shalom. This week's Sedra Metzora. As we continue to study the book of Vayikra and study about offerings and the laws of tumah and taharah, the weekly Torah portions become more abstract and seemingly less relevant to our lives today. We no longer bring offerings in the temple, and tumah and taharah are rarely applicable in our lives. While these feelings are understandable, they're also somewhat based on a lack of knowledge or ignorance about these Torah lessons. Many translations of the Torah use the words pure and impure for taharah and tumah, but these are incorrect translations and don't really relate to tumah and taharah. Taharah and tumah are merely legal terms. They don't reflect anything positive or negative. When someone becomes tameh because of contact with a dead body, they're forbidden to enter the temple under penalty of death. There are times, though, when both terms are used homiletically to refer to a meaningful and or sinful lifestyle. In this week's Torah portion, the Jewish people are warned, "You shall put the Israelites on guard against their tumah, lest they die through their tumah by defiling my tabernacle, which is among them." The exact action the Jewish people are being warned about is difficult to understand from the words of the pasuk. In his commentary to this verse, Rashi explained that the word nezer, on guard, means separating. Throughout the Torah, that's how the word is used. In his work, Mesilas Yesharim, Ramchal wrote about separation. This is what he wrote. The general principle of separation is what our sages of blessed memory said: sanctify yourself by abstaining from what is permitted to you. This is the meaning of the word separation itself. That is to say, to separate and distance from the thing prohibiting on oneself something which is permitted. The intent in this is not to come to violate the prohibition itself. The intent is that a person distance and separate from anything which may lead to something which could bring about evil, even though right now it doesn't cause evil, and even though it is not evil itself. While Ramchal advocated for separating from things permitted to you, Rambam had taken a different approach hundreds of years before the Ramchal, deriding separating from the permitted. A person might say, the Rambam wrote, that envy and desire, the pursuit of honor and the like, are a wrong path and drive a person from the world. I shall separate from them to a very great degree and move away from them to the opposite extreme. For example, he won't eat meat or drink wine or live in a pleasant home, nor would he wear fine clothing, but rather he'll wear sackcloth and coarse wool and the like, just as the pagan priests used to do. But that's a bad path, and it's forbidden to walk upon it, the Rambam wrote. Whoever follows this path is called a sinner. Our sages directed man to abstain only from those things which the Torah denies him, and not to forbid himself permitted things. So now, which approach is better? Separating from the permitted, as Ramchal advocated, or Rambam's approach of enjoying the permitted? Rambam's words about tumah and taharah can help us understand. The Rambam wrote the following: one who focuses his heart on making themselves tahor becomes tahor once they immerse in a mikvah, even though there was no change in their body. Similarly, one who focuses their heart on making their soul tahor from the tumah of the soul, which are wicked thoughts and bad character traits, becomes tahor when they resolve to distance themselves from such counsel and immerse their soul in the waters of knowledge. The legal and homiletic concepts of tumah and taharah we can now understand joined together at the law of not entering the temple. Similar to the tumah prohibiting entrance into the temple and the mitzvot performed while there, tumah of sin prevents a person from improving themselves through mitzvot. Rambam and Ramchal were both suggesting paths to improvement through proper separation. The factor, as Rambam wrote, is intent behind the separation. As he wrote, one who focuses their heart on making their soul tahor, not the action of separation. Avoiding the permitted without proper intent, just for separation's sake, is the foolishness the Rambam warns against. And separation with proper intent is the behavior that the Ramchal advocated. It's a very hard lesson to understand and challenging, but if we think about it, it makes perfect sense. Separating from the permitted only makes sense when it's beneficial to us, but just separating for separation's sake doesn't make too much sense. Shabbat Shalom.